Have you ever wondered what happens if you just stop eating for 100 hours? It seems insane, right? But the human body has amazing mechanisms to survive this, and you will not believe what happens inside of you. In today's video, we'll dive deep into the amazing and scary changes that happen in your body for 100 hours without eating. Get ready, because the science behind it will surprise you. In the first 24 hours without food intake, the body enters a strategic state of energy consumption to maintain its essential functions. In this initial period, the body uses a resource called glycogen, which can be considered a kind of reserve fuel stored in the liver and muscles. This is the first step in a complex sequence of metabolic adaptations designed to keep the body running during periods of food scarcity. Glycogen is composed of glucose molecules, the main source of energy for cells. In the liver, glycogen is transformed into glucose and released into the bloodstream to ensure that crucial organs, such as the brain, receive sufficient energy. In the muscles, glycogen is used locally, feeding movements and ensuring that you can perform daily activities even without consuming food recently. However, this reserve is limited. The body stores approximately 100 grams of glycogen in the liver and about 400 grams in the muscles, which under normal conditions is enough to sustain energy needs for up to 24 hours. As these reserves are being depleted, it is natural to begin to feel warning signals sent by the body. Hunger emerges as a biological mechanism to encourage the search for food. It's as if the brain activates an alarm system to remind us that we are running out of fuel. At this time, you may also feel irritation and mood swings, a phenomenon known as irritable hunger. This is due to the drop in blood glucose levels, affecting emotional stability and cognitive performance. In addition, a slight drop in energy is common as the body begins to save resources. Tasks that were simple before may seem more challenging, and the overall disposition decreases. It is the beginning of an important transition in metabolism. The body is preparing to change its main source of energy. If the absence of food persists beyond these 24 hours, the body starts a process called glyconeogenesis, where it begins to produce glucose from alternative sources, such as amino acids from muscle protein breakdown. This is an effort to ensure energy for the brain and other vital organs while adjusting to scarcity. This initial phase is only the beginning of a series of metabolic adaptations that the human body has developed throughout evolution to survive in adverse situations. Although the symptoms may seem uncomfortable, they are signs of an incredibly efficient system designed to protect and preserve life even in the most challenging times. After 24 hours without food intake, the body starts a fascinating change in its metabolism. It enters a state known as ketosis. This mechanism is like a second gear of the human energy system, activated to ensure that the body continues functioning even in the absence of carbohydrates, its preferred source of energy. What happens at this time is that the glycogen stores stored in the liver and muscles are practically exhausted. Without enough glucose in the blood, the body needs a quick and efficient solution to feed vital organs, especially the brain, which consumes about 20% of the total energy of the organism. This is where the ketone bodies, small molecules produced by the liver from the breakdown of fat, enter. In this process, the fat stores stored in the body begin to be used as the new source of energy. Fat cells are transformed into fatty acids, which in turn are converted in the liver into ketone bodies, such as acetoacetate and beta-hydroxybutyrate. These molecules circulate in the blood, supplying the energy demand of tissues and mainly of the brain, which now adapts to use ketone bodies as fuel instead of glucose. An interesting effect of this transition is the possible sense of mental clarity. It seems strange, but many report that when entering ketosis they experience a more focused and alert mind. This is because ketone bodies not only provide energy to the brain efficiently, but also have neuroprotective properties, helping to stabilize levels of brain energy and reduce inflammation in the nervous system. Another curious point is that ketosis is a natural state programmed by human evolution. It was essential for the survival of our ancestors, who often faced long periods without access to food. In this state, the body is able to remain functional and active, using its fat reserves to sustain both mind and body. In addition to the energy benefits, this process also promotes other effects on the body. Fat burning can result in a slight weight loss during this period, and there are studies that suggest ketosis may have positive impacts on reducing inflammation and hormonal balance. However, not everything is comfortable in this process. Some people may feel fatigue, headaches, or a mild bad breath known as ketone breath, caused by excess of ketone bodies being excreted. This metabolic state is the basis of diets like ketogenic, which aim to drastically reduce carbohydrate intake to force the body to use fat as its main source of energy. But in the context of fasting, it comes naturally as an incredible adaptation that reveals the resilience and efficiency of the human organism. Ketosis, therefore, is not just a survival strategy, but a testimony to the body's ingenuity in turning scarcity into opportunity, adjusting itself to function efficiently even in challenging situations. From the third day of fasting, the body enters a critical phase of metabolic adaptation, a real effort to preserve energy and maintain its vital functions. By this time, it has consumed almost all stored glycogen and is in ketosis for days, using fats as the main fuel source. However, the body understands that prolonged lack of nutrients may be a greater risk than expected, and therefore begins to take more drastic measures. The first major adjustment is the reduction of basal metabolism. The body slows down its functions to save energy, like a cell phone that enters battery saving mode. This makes processes that require caloric expenditure, such as heat production and cell renewal, less intense. This state of metabolic hibernation is a strategy to prolong the energy reserves for longer. Although the body continues to prioritize fat as a source of energy, it also begins to look for another alternative: muscle proteins. This process, called protein catabolism, is triggered to supply the specific needs of organs that still depend on glucose, such as parts of the brain and red blood cells. During catabolism, muscles are degraded, releasing amino acids that the liver uses to produce glucose in a process known as glyconeogenesis. This protein breakdown has significant consequences. Extreme tiredness becomes more evident as the muscles begin to lose strength and efficiency. Simple movements can seem exhausting, and the willingness for physical activities practically disappears. The difficulty of concentration is another remarkable symptom. Although the brain is already adapted to use ketone bodies as fuel, lack of glucose can cause a slight drop in cognitive performance. Tasks that require focus, memory, or problem solving become more difficult, and you may feel your mind slow. In addition, dizziness is a common sign at this stage. It occurs due to the drop in levels of electrolytes, such as sodium and potassium, which are eliminated in greater quantity during fasting, especially in the first 48 hours when there is a large release of water and salts by the body. Without these minerals, blood pressure balance is impaired, leading to the feeling of vertigo. These symptoms are the reflection of a body that is trying to survive in extreme conditions, using all possible resources to preserve life. Although uncomfortable, they demonstrate the incredible ability of the human organism to adapt, even in scenarios of total scarcity. However, it is important to remember that if fasting is prolonged without medical supervision, the risks may become worse. The continuous degradation of muscles compromises not only physical strength, but also the health of vital organs such as the heart, which is essentially a muscle. This third day marks the beginning of a body's struggle to balance energy, preservation, and basic functioning. It shows the resilience of the organism, but also the limits that extreme nutrient deprivation can impose. Reaching 100 hours without food is like entering a territory unknown to the human body. At this point, the body is operating in its most extreme mode of survival, prioritizing only what is absolutely essential, keeping vital organs like the heart and brain functioning. Every cell in the body is adjusting its behavior to save energy, and internal systems are reorganizing themselves to cope with prolonged nutrient shortages. One of the most surprising aspects of this phase is that hunger begins to diminish. This may seem contradictory, but it is an evolutionary strategy. The body reduces the intensity of hunger signs to prevent the sensation from consuming mental energy or causing extreme anxiety, which could hinder the search for food. However, while hunger may seem less intense, physical and mental symptoms reach a critical level. Extreme fatigue becomes constant. The body is so energy deprived that even simple tasks, like getting out of bed or having a conversation, can seem unbearably difficult. This weakness is the result of continuous muscle wear, since in addition to using fat as fuel, the body still uses muscle proteins to produce the minimum glucose needed to maintain critical functions. Dizziness is aggravated in this phase due to the sharp drop in electrolyte levels, such as sodium, potassium, and magnesium. With the loss of these minerals, which are fundamental for blood pressure balance and nerve impulse transmission, blood flow to the brain can be impaired, causing episodes of dizziness and even fainting. In addition, the impact on the central nervous system begins to manifest itself more clearly. Mental confusion is common, with difficulty of concentration, lapses of memory, and a state of lethargy. This is because, although the brain is using ketone bodies as its main source of energy, the level of available nutrients is insufficient to fully sustain its functions. In more severe cases, hallucinations and changes in perception may occur, reflexes of the body at the limit of its capacity. The heart, being a vital muscle, also feels the effects. He continues to work tirelessly, but the lack of nutrients begins to impact his efficiency. Your heart rate may drop, and the risk of arrhythmias increases due to electrolyte imbalance. The body does everything to protect this organ, diverting maximum energy and nutrients to it, but this happens at the expense of other less priority systems. In the midst of this inner chaos, the body still tries to adapt. The metabolic rate remains extremely low, and the body further reduces the production of hormones, such as thyroid hormones, to save energy. The digestive system, which is practically at rest, slows down completely, and the production of enzymes and gastric acids is almost non-existent. This critical state is an impressive testimony to the resilience of the human organism, but it also makes clear that it is reaching its limit. Prolonged fasting without proper supervision can lead to irreversible damage, or even failure of vital systems. It is a demonstration of the body's extreme abilities to survive, but also a warning of the dangers of pushing those limits beyond what it can withstand. If you continue without eating, the body begins to collapse. After days of no nutrients, organs may begin to fail, which can be fatal. The human body is incredibly resilient, but it has its limits. Now, before you think about trying a 100-hour fast, know that this should only be done under medical supervision. When controlled, fasting can bring benefits, such as improving metabolism and reducing inflammation, but overdoing it can be extremely dangerous. The human body is a masterpiece of adaptation, but it needs to be respected. Now that you know what happens when you stay 100 hours without eating, how about sharing this video with someone who also loves to understand the mysteries of the human body? And don't forget, take good care of yourself.